standing in front of such power. I know that typically the focus at the Kinnis banquet is on celebrating, congratulating, and applauding. But my default isn't the spirit-raising style. You can ask my kids sitting and probably shaking in their seats, and they'll second that, so I hope I won't disappoint. The Rebbe's impact on the world through our collective hard work and astounding success is unprecedented in Jewish history. However, it concerns me how often our successes are defined by numbers. The square footage of our maestas, the number of guests that attend our Pesach Seder, or the title next to our name on the letterhead. Is this the true measure of success? In the Rebbe's very first Sikha, he instructed us to work. The Rebbe wanted us to be partners in his global vision and made it clear that we must not stop, not give up, and certainly not be satisfied with our past accomplishments. When did the Rebbe tell us that success was a magic number or a specific job title? I'm not suggesting that we stop striving for success. On the contrary, the Rebbe demanded from us that we maximize our potential to the fullest degree. The Rebbe told us that often that when we have one, we need to strive for two. And when we have 100, we should strive for 200. But what I am proposing is that we revisit what we tell ourselves success looks like. My greatest inspiration at the Kinnis has always been hearing from shluchos who maintain their enthusiasm for this holy work even when their programs and classes are attended by only a handful of people. I'm moved by the shlucha who does not evaluate the sophistication of her role or get depressed when she spent more time cooking and cleaning than teaching lofty concepts of chassidus. That's a soldier. And yes, we, the shluchos of the Rebbe, are soldiers. Being a soldier of the Rebbe is the embodiment of this year's Kinnis theme. Give it a drink. V'yasuli mikdash v'shachanti b'saycham, and you should make me a sanctuary, and I will dwell in them. The Rebbe teaches us that the only way to draw the Shekhinah, God's presence, within us is through bittul, complete submission to Hashem. If we are subservient, like a soldier, to his commander, then we will be an inviting home for the Shekhinah. In my opinion, this is the essence of shlichus. There are two steps to earning the title shlucha. The first is to be appointed by the Mishaleach, the Rebbe, and by extension, his shluchim. The second is to rise to the challenge by surrendering our ego and personal desires to the Mishaleach. This is what being a soldier means. What better example do we have than our Rebbetzin Chaya Mushka, whose yahrzeit we marked on Wednesday? With every fiber of her being, she demonstrated to us from the very beginning of the Rebbe's leadership what it means to be the Rebbe's soldat, entirely devoted to the Rebbe and his mission. Being a soldier of the Rebbe is not to be taken lightly. We carry an awesome responsibility. As shluchos of the Rebbe, we literally represent the Rebbe. His plan must be our plan. His mission must be our mission. Back when our shul and all our activities were held in our house, it seemed like our doors were open more than they were closed, and we had a steady stream of guests passing through. I quickly lost count of the number of beds I changed, floors I scrubbed, and meals I prepared. I won't deny that it would get me down. Once, when I was not feeling particularly inspired, I was reminded of the time when, as a teen, I worked for my grandparents, Rabbi Shia and Rivka Korf, in their matzah bakery. I remembered the women rolling the dough into matzahs, repeating, L'shem matzahs mitzvah, for the sake of the mitzvah of matzah, to remind themselves that they were not just rolling dough. So I decided to do just that. Every time I mopped strip the beds or peel 50 pounds of potatoes, I said, L'shem shlichus mitzvah, for the sake of the mitzvah of shlichus. And I'll tell you that it worked. It reminded me I was doing these things and for whom I was doing it. I was a soldier and I was successfully executing my mission. It gave me strength to continue. But ultimately, it was the Rebbe who set me straight when I dared to share my definition of success. In our early years of shlichus, we were alone in our city, quite small, and facing many challenges. I was overwhelmed by the combined duties of motherhood and shlichus, and I decided to write to the Rebbe. I'm embarrassed to admit that although I knew to whom I was writing, I felt compelled to make sure that the Rebbe knew how very miserable, afraid, and overwhelmed I was. After all, I was turning to the one who I knew thinks, cares, and worries about me more than anyone else in the world. If I couldn't express myself to my Rebbe, then I was lost. So after I unloaded all of my problems, I finished off my letter by saying, and I am just one big mess. The Rebbe's response is one I live with every day. His answer created a paradigm shift in my attitude to shlichus. The Rebbe's comment, which I will translate in a moment, goes like this. Harei hitzlichu ba'avodas hakodesh yachad im baila sheyichya l'mayla min hamishur legamre v'hi kora lazeh mes. 2 question marks, 2 exclamation marks. Aval hamelech basada utevasri taiv al asker alatzin. To translate, the Rebbe wrote, she has succeeded together with her husband, and my husband makes sure to stress that part, totally beyond expectations, and she calls this a mess? Nevertheless, the king is in the field, and you should report good. I'll pray for you. The Rebbe never gave us permission to be the ones to measure our success, and I clearly was not very good at it. We have no idea what success does or doesn't look like. What looked like a mess to me was a success to the Rebbe. The Rebbe expects us to value each person, every neshama, who shows up to a program, although they may be the only participant, one of a handful, or hundreds. A soldier does not have to worry about a specific kind of success. That's up to the commander to evaluate. A soldier has to worry about following orders and not losing sight of the mission. The Rebbe continued, Aval HaMelech Basada, a reminder that the Rebbe is with us on the battlefield and understands our struggles. There's no reason to feel lost or afraid because we're never alone. Tivasri Taiv, the Rebbe finished by sharing a powerful tool. When you need encouragement, don't look for superficial definitions of success, but focus on the positive impact that your efforts have had and share it. As soldiers, we must remember to report our progress back to our commander. In doing so, we are energized by seeing our commitment to the mission. Can you imagine if we had an event or even a wall of honor that recognized shluchos who have no more than 5 people attending their adult education classes, shluchos who have less than 10 children in their preschool or Hebrew school, or shluchos whose homes still double as shul, Hebrew school, office, day camp, and banquet hall. How about the shluchos who don't give up, though they struggle with enrollment? The shluchos who roll up their sleeves to tackle the many jobs they can't afford to pay others to do. The shluchos who, despite their tragic personal struggles and losses, carry on with full dedication to their shluchos while their hearts are broken and grieving. They, you, are the Rebbe's soldiers who inspire the rest of us. That should be our definition of success. I believe that they are the ones who, despite the lack of sustenance for their ego, despite the argument that maybe it doesn't pay to stay, despite all the arguments to the contrary, they stay. You are treasured soldiers. You bring a special nachas to the Rebbe. You have placed the mission first and are not distracted by beautiful buildings or impressive dinners. You are focused on one soul at a time. Of course, every shluchah's goal is v'asuli mikdash, to create and nurture our communities so that Yiddishkeit resonates. But what do we do when it seems like we're not getting through? When time and time again, it appears that all our efforts make no difference and we don't see the impact. Once again, as soldiers, we are not the judge of outcome. We must march forward. Our orders are not to gauge our impact on others. We may affect people we're not aware of, or those who have been apathetic or antagonistic toward us and our mission. Sometimes it takes years, like we just heard, and sometimes we never know. I learned this lesson from a highly educated and extremely talented mother of a student in our school. At that time, she did not accept the authority of halacha and challenged me constantly on our values. In fact, to keep her happy and maintain my sanity, I used to research the wife of every male Torah personality that we introduced to the kids, so that she should see that in no way were we as women being ignored or disregarded. I had several uncomfortable clashes with this mother over the years, and I definitely allowed it to affect me. You can be sure I didn't consider this one of my successes. It was clear that although we were investing energy into her daughter, it was having no positive impact on the family, and we doubted the lasting effects on the daughter given her mother's negative attitude. They eventually moved away, and I breathed a sigh of relief. Imagine my shock. 9 years later, I received a call from this woman using her Hebrew name and her husband's last name. I braced myself and wondered why she was calling. She explained that her daughter just boarded the plane to seminary in Yerushalayim, and she was calling to say thank you. I don't have to tell you that I needed smelling salts to continue the conversation. And I maintain till today I had nothing to do with it. Several years later, she and her husband called me again. They are now part of a Chassidish community in Israel. Their daughter is married to a Chassidish younger man, blessed with many children. They call me each year before Rosh Hashanah to say thank you, and they keep telling me that it was those seeds we planted in their family that eventually sprouted to beautiful fruits. Once again, we are soldiers. We don't have to understand, and we don't have to know. While we recognize the privilege that we indeed are the Rebbe soldiers, let's remember that we were trained to be soldiers. We're fortunate to have a commander-in-chief who guides us from the moment we are born or sign up for this life. So it shouldn't be a surprise that we are rising to this task. This is why I'm in awe of and beyond grateful to our friends and partners back home in our place of shluchas, who some call lay people. I call them friends. Even without that special training, they stand side by side with us while in the trenches and join us in our mission. One of our supporters once thanked the Rebbe by dollars for sending emissaries to Charlotte. The Rebbe said to him, the biggest thank you you can give me is to make their endeavors your endeavors. And then proceeded to give him $1, wishing him success in your endeavors. You, our supporters, have truly made our endeavors your endeavors. You don't just support us, you invigorate us with energy and excitement to keep moving forward. You know who you are, and you also know that we wouldn't be here or anywhere without you. We also know that to be a soldier, Kabbalah's O will not suffice, but bitachon, faith, and trust is a necessary ingredient, and the Rebbe provided it for me too. Over 30 years ago, we made the decision to start a preschool. We had 16 families ready to sign up. We were ready to start in August. Our existing space was inadequate, and all our arrangements for a more ideal place fell through 2 weeks before school was to begin. I had 16 children and nowhere to go. We had exhausted every possibility and nothing came through. We were at a loss. I sat down to write a letter to the Rebbe, and I remember saying to my husband, because I'm not such a good girl, that if I get an answer of Yehi Ratzon, may it be God's will, or Oscar Alatzion, I will pray for you, I will not be happy. I didn't have enough bitachon to trust that it would be okay unless I got a guarantee from the Rebbe. I didn't want good wishes or prayers. I needed a promise. The Rebbe knew his soldier, he knew my weakness, and instead of giving me a patch for not trusting enough in Hashem, he answered, Hashem Yisbarach, Yashlim Kechol Hadarash, Utivasri Taiv, Tamid Kol Hayamim, Oscar Alatzion. He didn't say, may it be that Hashem should help me. He didn't tell me that he'll pray for me. But he promised me that Hashem will fulfill all that is needed and that I will report good news forever. And yes, we were able to report good news and strive to continue to do so with Hashem's help. Okay, I know what many of you are thinking, or some. She was fortunate to have received personal letters from the Rebbe when she needed them most. Her generation received answers and had direct contact with the Rebbe, so it's no wonder they're so inspired to be the Rebbe's soldiers. But what about now? What are we supposed to do? The Rebbe guided us by quoting, Ana nafshi ksavis yahavis. I have invested the essence of my soul in my writings. We have a trove of 32 volumes of Igris Kodesh, over 12,000 letters from the Rebbe. And the Rebbe himself told us that a ksav, the written word from the Rebbe, is equal to a yechidus, a private audience. Imagine that you can begin every day with the Rebbe's guidance, reassurance, and encouragement. The gift the Rebbe left us is incredible. Who would not take the opportunity to have a yechidus with the Rebbe every day? Let's take advantage of it. Ashreinu matay chalkeinu, that we are chassidim. Umanagim garaleinu, that we are Chabad chassidim. Umayafa Yerushaseinu, that we are the Rebbe's soldiers.